Welcome, everybody, to the Mountain Mind Tricks podcast. I'm so excited for today. I have Aleah Traylor with me, and today is all about conversations with clients and really just going deeper into what a breakthrough session is, how it works. We're gonna go really into depth on what it's like to be a client at Mountain Mind Tricks. I'm so thankful. Have so much gratitude in my heart for Aleah Traylor for being open and speaking about this because we've been together for almost a year now, right, Aleah?
Yeah, just about, I
Yeah,
think over a year
yeah.
or so.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you're at EMT. You were on Truckee Hot Shots, is that right? For a little
Mhm.
while. You're on Truckee. You're EMT now. You're going to paramedic school. So, just doing amazing things in life right now. I'm so freaking proud of you. So, thank you for being here, sister.
Thank you, thank you. I'm very excited to be here for sure.
Yeah, yeah. So everybody listening, just to give a quick overview, we're just going to talk about the four requisites of change. Basically what it's like to do release work, what it's like to build a compelling vision, and then what it's like to take action, focus, and actually get results in your life. So, one of the things, I guess, why is all this important, right? Like, why is a breakthrough session important? Like, why was alternative therapy important for you, Aleah?
Yeah, I mean, that could be a really simple question or it can be really dense. And I mean, I feel like the buildup before I had reached out to you and I had actually sought out um, the healing modalities I use every day now was essentially a buildup process of things that I had noticed throughout my life that um, just weren't working, simply put. And once I was able to recognize that, I told myself, and I need help. I want to really understand what's going on internally, even going as far
Mm.
down as at the cellular level. And one of the first thoughts that even came to my head was, I want to reach out to Thomas. Because I had heard you through various podcasts and it just felt totally right. And I feel like alternative modalities generally and alternative healing, it looks at the whole person um, and doesn't just go surface level. You know, talk therapy, it was such a big part of my healing. And eventually I reached a point where I wanted to keep going deeper and deeper. And alternative healing offered me that ability to go deeper, not just even in the physical way, but in the mental way, in the emotional way, in the spiritual way. It gave me an opportunity to really examine myself as a whole person, as a whole being, as a whole soul. And it opened me up to the woman I've always wanted to be and am becoming.
I love that so much. Thank you. And one of my favorite things that I hear you say all the time is like, I'm just gonna own my shit. Like, I'm just gonna own it. Like, I'm gonna own it, and I'm gonna take like. And I think it's really like owning who you are,
Yeah.
And every time you say that, you just get so like full of light and you just light up and like, why does this kind of work light you up?
I mean, even that can be a very dense answer, but I mean, ultimately, it just what lights me up about it is that there's not, hope and faith, I feel like can only go so far sometimes. There's this sense of deep knowing. You know,
Mm,
this is who I am. This is the work that I've come here to do. This is the evolution of my soul. This is me at the base level. And
mm,
it just gives you that base 100%. Um,
yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, it's almost like there's this I don't know, it's coming up for me. It's like this idea that healing's not just about like going beyond the problem, but going beyond yourself. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, going beyond yourself, right? And I think that's like, this deep knowing, this purpose, going beyond the problem and actually going into purpose. I feel like that is one of the biggest game changers when people are healing is finding their purpose and going for it, right?
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
mean, I think right now I'm really in that part of my life. And when you start healing, you don't, when you start your journey, I'll say that, you don't really expect your purpose to come out of it, or these really amazing blessings to kind of
Mm.
start effortlessly unfolding. They do. And that's another key point of how I know this is what's meant for me, this sort of healing, because it's so effortlessly and eloquently starts falling into place. And I mean, I feel like with the years I've been doing this now, and then the year I've been working with you, I'm opening up to genuinely my life purpose, and
Mm.
how effortlessly that has come to fruition is
Mm.
you can't deny it. You can't.
Mm. Oh, I love that. It's almost as if once we release all the stuff, like all the baggage, our
Hmm.
whole reality starts shifting in the way we want it, right? Like I think that's something that's happened for you, like no doubt. It's
Oh
just
yeah,
yeah. Like
yeah. It's so many shifts all the time. I mean, you've seen it with me throughout this whole journey, even just within this year. And
yeah.
yeah, the shifts are monumental. You can't really put words to it.
Right, right. And it all started with like a breakthrough session. I mean, like why was that breakthrough session so monumental for you?
I mean, there's a few reasons for sure. I mean, one of them being it was one of the first times where I felt genuinely connected and within that sense of oneness,
Mm.
that we talk about so frequently in many communities, that sense of oneness. And I had never really understood the depth of that until I was in it. And it was when it was our first day, of the breakthrough session, and I believe you were guiding me through a Kiave process. And it was the first time where I had felt completely just grounded. And even on that day, we had also been able to, I had the opportunity to use Rape. And it was one of those first times where I was just completely one with mother, completely one with father. And it's like you really know exactly where you come from. Um, and again, it's not hope, it's not faith, it is deep knowing of, oh my God, this is what's going on in me and outside of me.
Yeah. Oh, you give me truth bumps, sister. I feel the energy. It's so awesome. I love it. I love it. Yeah, and I think I guess that's something that's so different from what I do from most, traditional therapy, of course, and maybe even other master practitioners is uh the spiritual aspect, the amount of energy I can bring in is pretty amazing. Like how was that energy during our breakthrough session and I mean our coaching sessions during retreat? Like the energy is something that's so important to me. Like, I think the energy tells the truth no matter what, right?
Oh yeah, in all aspects. I mean, with the people you choose and get the opportunity to be around, and the energy that the environment that you're in brings, the energy that the
Mm,
medicine brings, like it is so poignant to how you're able to connect and integrate that experience.
yeah.
Um, and I mean, even tagging on to that breakthrough session, I mean, if I feel like I could have had a totally different experience if, let's say, I had been with somebody else, because I know, and I remember it so distinctly the first time I heard your voice on a podcast I had been listening to. I just knew it was that
Mm.
deep knowing of, oh, this guy's safe. And
Oh.
then we met in person in Oregon, and it was just immediately, oh, I'm good. And it was one of the first
Mm.
times really in my life where I felt safe.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, sister, thank you. Yeah, I don't want to go deeper into it, but there was trauma in your breakthrough session, right?
Mhm.
And for you to feel safe, that's like step 1 to even healing anything is like you got to feel safe. That's the foundation of it all, right?
Oh yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, with that with that trauma that had come up and all of these things that had come up, it was even new for me. It was so shocking. to feel the sense of safety, but also this sense of acceptance. Like, oh wow, this man has seen so many different fabrics of my reality and still wants to work with me and still is here. And it brought up a lot more as far as, how childhood wounds go. And it just, yeah, it's like it surpassed all of that. And it was just like, no, you're safe and it's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Something that I've been building and stepping into more is seeing people like that. Like, could you speak to that a little bit? Because it's something I'm not really sure I can explain it that well because like, well, we're going to talk about techniques here in a minute, but when I'm doing work with people, it's like I see their energy, I see their timeline, I see their baggage, like I see everything you're seeing in your mind. It's kind of wild. Like, and as you're a very sensitive client, so I know you felt that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's that whole concept of being seen and being heard
Mm, mm,
authentically. And as you know, that's been a process in and of itself for me. Being able to allow myself to be seen, to be heard, to be loved and accepted as I am and as I show up, and um,
mm,
feeling that sense of vulnerability and rawness is
mm.
it can feel slightly terrifying at first because it's not something that you correlate with feeling safe. It's initially with um, those sort of patterns that come up. It's first like I'm not safe if I am who I am. If I don't try to control the environment, or if I don't mold myself to how somebody may I think may want me to be, then I'm not safe. And then coming into an environment that is totally opposite of that the energy that you bring, it's kind of it irks you initially. Like you're kind of getting really uncomfortable and
Uh-huh.
you don't really know what to do with your body, but then
That's
once you
totally.
start settling into it, you're just in it. And I mean, I don't know if you had I'm sure you had noticed, but for the first I'd say the first hour of our second day of my breakthrough session, it's like I asked you at one point, I was like, Thomas, I need to lay down. And it was because I was so uncomfortable with how raw it was getting. But the fact that you had brought that sense of
Mm,
safety and you became that lead heartbeat in that little environment that we were in between the trees, I was able to ease into that and then finally kind of
yeah.
just settle into it.
Yeah. And it's also, digging into the root cause, the greater problem, like the body gets pissed off. Like your whole body's lit up, right? Like that process it's not easy, but once we get to the release part, it's like that was it. Like seriously, it's gone. you know?
Yeah, it's
uh
true. I mean, I think I even asked you a few times. I was like, "Wait, we're done?"
Yep.
um,
Mhm.
yeah,
Yeah.
it.
Wow. I love this. I love it. I love it. Yeah. I know that part, it's hard. There's no way because to face your shit and to own it, man,
Yeah, you.
it's a totally different style of therapy because it's
Oh,
deep.
completely
It's deep,
different.
deep, raw, and it's really because it really puts you in the space of being a cause of like, well, how do you do your anxiety? Ooh, that and it's like that. Really, how do you do it? Like, what's the steps? Let's get to the belief. What's the actual problem? And to me, it really just dives deep very quickly into the actual root cause of well, what's the greater problem? I
Right.
think that to me, the greater problem is so I feel so blessed to have that process to understand how that works because it's a key factor in healing.
Absolutely. And I
Yeah.
mean, I've noticed that even just since that breakthrough session we had, the way that my mind and my body are able to process something that's coming up, it's you start being able to observe how it kind of trickles down this
Mm,
line of, okay, I'm feeling this. This is coming up. So what's behind that? And you just kind of keep naturally going down until you're able to ask yourself in your unconscious mind, well, what's the root cause? Show me the root cause. What does this look
mm,
like? What does it feel like? And I mean, I use it like I can't think of a day where I'm not going through that. Just
mm,
even like on like a very subconscious level, like I'm at
yeah.
work or something and I'm able to do that process and really understand myself and
Hmm.
be coherent with myself. It's so cool. Like
Yeah.
yeah, it's such a cool process.
What's coming up too is like the trickle down effect of our four bodies. I think that's something that you really like have taken home. Like our four
Hmm.
bodies, like that knowledge of our spiritual, mental, emotional, physical body and how our energy shows up into our thinking and then our chemistry and then our feelings and our emotions all the way down into our cells. Like your thoughts affect your cells. Like to get to that level of understanding, and it's a game changer. It's a game changer to actually understand how the human body works, right?
Right. And I mean, within the last year, I've opened up to that more and more and more, especially after the Mexico retreat. I mean, it has been innate. Um, and I mean, it just, again, back to how everything just so eloquently unfolds. It's the where I'm at in my life. It puts me in a position to be able to understand myself even more on that
Yeah.
four body level. I mean, like even right now, I on the physical level, I am dialing in my health and I am
Mm,
really understanding how the food you eat matters, how you nourish your body with food and movement and water and sunlight and temperature and how
mm,
that all integrates in to, okay, where is your mental body at? And then you start understanding like, well, if I give my body the space to be healthy, and I give my body the ability to process things through movement, then my mental body will become a little more coherent and I'll be able to understand
mm,
these patterns and be able to work with them even back into like the emotional body side of things and being able to kind of collaborate both of those together in some way. And then once you understand yourself on that very vulnerable raw level with your emotions and your mental, then you
yeah.
get into spiritual where you're just in complete acceptance and like oneness and just, oh, now I
Yeah.
get it. This is why this is coming up because ultimately, at least what I believe is that I'm here to evolve my soul and I'm here to remember who the fuck I
Oh, it's so true. Remember who the fuck I am. Oh my God, I love
am.
that. I love that. It's so true because we get so lost in the mental landscape of,
Hmm.
all the programming we've received, our ancestral trauma, the generational trauma, the social media to the all the thing. I mean, it's just like it's literally a matrix out there of beliefs and patterns that we're connected to all the time, and to undo that and to really become our own like lead heartbeat in our own life and our own reality. Like, you know, I think we're going really esoteric here, but it's okay because it trickles down into mental, how you're thinking, emotional, how you're feeling, and your physical body. Like this stuff, I mean, you are getting amazing results in your life. Like, can like one thing I would love to talk about in just a general overview is really, I remember during the breakthrough session, it's like you would never be in a relationship. Like that never would have happened. And now you're like in madly in love with somebody. And to me, that's one of the most beautiful, amazing results ever.
Oh my God. I could talk about this all day, genuinely. And I mean, um, it's so interesting because I always tell him, I say, I feel like my soul recognized you before my mind could even catch up or fathom the idea of falling in love with someone or allowing someone in. And it's so interesting. We had talked about this a little bit before. It's just, I feel like after my breakthrough session, I had said something to myself. I hadn't written it down. I mean, I had journaled on it a little bit and kind of gotten the idea of what I would want if something came along. But the
Mm-hmm.
main theme that always came up was, I want a partnership where two individuals come together to create something really fucking beautiful. And I want to be able to remember myself even more with this person. And I want to fall not only in love with this person, but I want to fall in love even more with myself
Yeah.
and just create this like magical partnership. And it's exactly that. It's so, it just gives me this opportunity to see myself in a way that I never have before, to remember myself in a way I never have before, and to be inspired to be the best version of Aleah, to always like be, okay, how can I just nourish myself even more? And it's crazy because the whole concept of that, I think a lot of people get behind is, oh, well, a relationship, it'll crash your whole world, or it'll do all these things. But the thing is I feel like when it's right, or not even right or wrong, but just when it's innate in some way, it just, it allows you the space to flourish into who you were always meant to be.
Mm.
Especially me, even like coming into my womanhood, which has been such a process that you've also been a part of. I feel more like myself. I feel more like a woman now that this beautiful man has come into my life. And what's really cool is that I get to see somebody else's process too. In their process is very similar to mine, and
Yeah.
how they do things and how they speak and where they're at, even in their healing journey. It's
Mm.
just, it's totally aligned, and it's so cool to see somebody in that process, but to also see myself in that
Yeah.
sense of, wow, this is opening me up more than I ever could really on my
Yeah.
own. And it gets into even how big community is. It gets
Mm.
into all those things and how important it is to allow
Yeah.
yourself to be around the 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 people that you feel so intuitively drawn to.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Community is like vitamin D. It's that
It is.
important. It really is. Yeah. It's so important. And so I mean, you got these results from like there's a formula. There's a formula to get results. And I kind of want to ground it a little bit here for people that aren't as spiritual as we are.
Sure.
And one is like it's release work and then creating a vision. Like our avatar aim smart goal process is incredible. Like that process of who do I want to become? What do I want to be doing with my life? And what do I want to have? It
Hmm.
paints this trickle down effect of, okay, like here's the spiritual aspect to me. Let's go way out there. There's the mental aspect. Let's the emotional aspect and the physical aspects and then the smart goals, like step by step by step. And it's so you get this compelling vision and then it's a daily I'm taking action. I'm focusing. Like I'm doing the things, I'm doing the work every single day. Every single day to get those kind of results. And that's where it's just so this whole process is absolutely life-changing in every way. Yeah.
It is, genuinely. I mean, that's it requires focus and being able to really get raw with yourself again on your own time. Being able to say,
Mhm.
well, what do I actually want? And um where do I actually see myself going? Like, who am I? Where am I? What do I want? And getting back into, it's it's such a beautiful process. And at the same time, because I think sometimes with generally, from what I've heard when I've shared my experience with people, the the idea is that, oh, I went through this breakthrough session, everything's fine, everything's good, everything is gone, and I'm perfect, and I'm fine, and It's not that. It is such a beautiful process, but the thing is that there's always going to be these layers, and it's just a matter of how you choose to show up for them. And that's the difference between me a couple of years ago versus me now, is when things arise, I choose to respond and to receive the experience in a totally different way. And even when you start creating your avatar, and you start actually visioning your life, it, you don't realize the resistance that can come up secondary to that.
It's
Which is
so
something,
true.
yeah, like it's your body and your mind are asking you, what the fuck? We've been this way for 20 something years. Why are we trying to change this? I don't want to change. This is what works for us, right? And it's confusing. And that's where you have to be able to. I feel like a really important part for me was understanding what resistance looks like for me, because it's been so poignant throughout my journey. And so being able to like sit with resistance at a table and offering it some tea to understand it is like what I needed.
Oh my God. Yeah. Just imagine what that table would say, you know?
Oh,
Like,
yeah. I mean, resistance sometimes, dude. I mean, she's like flipping the tablecloth up, like, dude, what are you doing? Just throwing stuff all over the place. She's not stoked, but it's a matter of
yeah.
just sitting there and being like, you know what? I hear you. I
Yeah.
hear you.
Yeah.
You let it out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really comes down to, the breakthrough session is going to clear a lot, if not most, if not all of the baggage from the past in an area of life. Like, it's
Mhm.
really going to do a big lift. And as soon as you start taking huge action in your life, even more baggage is going to come up. And that's part why the integration is so important, because as soon as you step onto the next path, like, you have to raise your vibration. And
Mhm.
that means you've got to face those beliefs, you got to face the resistance, you've got to face the emotions that are actually the lessons that's going to pave the way to that next layer, to that next level of who you are. And
Mhm.
it's a it takes some time, but that baggage is a blessing because it's learning,
Mhm.
and that frame of mind is total empowerment, right?
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God. The empowerment that comes secondary to that is,
Mhm.
I underestimated how empowered I would feel with this journey, specifically within the last like year or so. I mean, I have never felt this sense of just drive of, oh my gosh, I am doing this. And
Mm.
it's so cool, being able to feel that sense of empowerment. I mean, all these things, like how you were talking about baggage coming up, and especially once you start evolving. I mean, even me wanting to go to school to become a paramedic, that's brought up so much of its own stuff. And then the idea of
Yeah.
me even going to naturopathic school is like, bro, like my body kind of like is freaking out sometimes. And but at the same
Yeah.
time, there's just this drive. And I think I've explained it to you before. It's almost this sense of, when people say Jesus took the wheel, it's like
Yeah.
that. Like that's how I feel 90% of the time, because most of the time I'm actually really resistant to everything that I'm
Yeah.
starting to do. And so sometimes I just have to allow my intuition to take the wheel and be like, all
Yeah.
right, I guess I'm doing this. It's like when you see a toddler having a tantrum and the mom
Yeah.
is just kind of holding the toddler's hand, like, okay, come on. But it's like the kids dragging their feet, like they're crying, they're screaming, like they don't want to, but they're still
Oh,
walking. They're still going. That's
yeah.
how I feel, I think 90% of the time. But it's
Yeah.
empowering because
Yeah.
I know that there's this part of me that's holding that hand and being like, okay, let's go. I hear you. Let's go.
Yeah. Oh, that reminds me, one of my good friends, she was telling me a story recently about her higher self, and she's like, I was literally like, I was about to buy this training, and I'm like in my seat sitting there like, I don't have any fucking money. And the higher self is like, put your fucking credit card down. Like, go put it down. And she's just like, no, fuck you, right? and then her higher self is like, if you don't put your credit card down, I'm gonna fuck you up. Like, go put your credit card down, right? And it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
I
Uh,
resonate with that so much because what
oh
you're
my
saying,
god.
like, there's things on my path that are huge, like being a teacher and going to
Mhm.
acupuncture school. And at first it's just like, holy shit, there's so much resistance. And actually, a lot of times that's my guidepost of like, that's actually what I'm supposed to be doing because
Yeah.
there's resistance. Right?
Yep.
Yeah,
I
I
totally
know.
get that.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
a trip. Like being able to integrate, even with the work we do, integrating your highest self is, oh my gosh, dude. I
Yeah.
mean, just the other day we had talked about it.
Yeah.
When something's not right in my life,
Yeah. Yeah.
it will be known, and it's
Yeah.
really beautiful how your intuition, your highest self, like your angels,
Yeah.
your ancestors, your guides, like are all just like, nah, dude,
Yeah.
you're now at this
Yeah.
frequency, so we're gonna make sure you stay on that.
Yeah. Yeah. One more thing. I want to transition here into a little
Yeah,
bit more techniques. But
sure.
first, I want to hit one thing that has been coming up with every client for the last year or so. It's something that I guess has just transitioned is that like clearing the lineage and the ancestry and the bloodline. It's been insane because it's every single client. And other practitioners are talking about that too. Like it's not just a greater problem this lifetime anymore. It's like everybody's working on their ancestry right now and cleaning the lineage. And like that was huge for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mexico was extremely big in that.
Yeah.
Um, that it's still such a challenge to put words to that experience,
Yeah.
just because of what I was literally able to physically see, and the sensations I was feeling and the energies I was feeling. And I I think opening up to my ancestry in the way that I did is such a big part of how I feel today, or just generally. I feel like it totally shifted the trajectory of my life. And
Mm.
it was not just allowing, all these beautiful blessings and gifts that come with my ancestry. It's also the intense shadows that were in that, and what
Mm.
I was able to see in that, and what I was able to feel in that. And
Yeah.
literally getting to the rawness of why things are the way they are in my lineage, and why people are acting the way they do, and why these patterns are a thing, and the programming. It was raw, and it was there, and it was dense in it. I mean, I don't, you probably remember it. That shit put me to my knees. Literally, physically, I was put to my knees.
Hmm.
And I it it was just a very intense and beautiful process of, um one of the women that was there, in the group. um I had talked with her about my experience after, and she was like, it's like you slayed the dragon. It's like, yeah.
Yeah.
And one of my
Yeah.
really other good friends, who's in fire, also says that all the time. She's like, yeah, you got to go slay the dragon. And it was literally like a fairy tale experience of like, I just slayed the dragon and transformed it and changed it. And yeah, there's so many
Yeah.
words that I could try to use to explain that whole
Yeah.
experience, but
Yeah.
words
Yeah.
can't describe it.
I remember that moment. That was Is it okay if we talk about that moment? Because I
Yeah,
know we
absolutely.
had a moment. We had a moment.
Oh yeah,
And
we had a very big moment.
you were in the throes of fighting this dragon in Mexico. I mean, it was full on Game of Thrones shit. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, it was gnarly. It was
Yeah.
gnarly. And I remember I came up to you to support you, and I don't remember because I was probably channeling, but I said something or did some energy, and it was just like as soon as you saw me, or it was like you saw the energy, it was just like, oh, I got this. I can do this. And it was like what I saw was like all your ancestors lined up and was just like, fuck this dragon. I'm gonna fuck it up right now. And it was this absolute transformation in that moment. Like that was there was Aleah before that moment, and there was Aleah after that moment. Like that was so powerful, sister.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
amazing.
I mean, to give you, I'll try to use as little words as possible to give you some insight. You had told me, because I think something that people don't understand with ancestral healing is that you are a part of it. That
Mm,
is your lineage. And there's that level of acceptance that you have to have, and that you were
yeah.
part of the patterns, you were part of the program, you were part of these wounds. You were part of it. And it's this overwhelming guilt and just shame that comes over you, and just,
Mm.
but either way, words can't describe what I was in, but you would come up to me and you were holding me, and I just remember telling you, like, crying, just, I don't know, I don't know what to do. Like, it's so strong, Thomas, it's so strong. And all you said was, forgive yourself, look at yourself and forgive yourself. And like, what I was able to see, like, initially I was kind of resistant to it. I was like, i don't I don't know, because it was a child version of me. Like, it was
Mm,
me as a child, and it was like, forgive her, forgive her. And finally, like, I lifted the veil of all of that, and it was just literally, after that, it was just a fucking explosion of
yeah.
just like what you said. There was Aleah before, and then there was Aleah after.
Yeah.
um yeah, it was, I
Wow.
mean, ancestral healing,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, it is
Yeah.
powerful, and it is not something to be underestimated at all.
No. No. That's why we have a group of practitioners, because
Yeah.
it's one practitioner can't do that. We need a
Mm-mm.
group. We need a group because yeah. Yeah. And so it's like this evolution of the breakthrough session and then retreat and integration. And I mean, it's just I guess I really want to speak to like the breakthrough session prepared you for that moment. Like there's no way you could have handled that without a breakthrough session. I don't think.
No, no.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I no. Mm-mm. That's why, you know, it's really interesting. After commune in Mexico, um, there are people, loved ones of mine, who have asked me and actually expressed, like, I want to experience this. And I make sure to make it a point, like, it's a process before you go into that
Yeah.
medicine, because it is sacred medicine, it is ancestral medicine, like that. You like, being able to prepare yourself for years, I feel like, is very, it's very important. And I mean, I'm not saying, doing breakthrough sessions every year prior to that. It's just, there's a process. And I know,
Yeah.
like, mine started with talk therapy 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's been a progression of that. And I think, with specifically the breakthrough session allowed me to stay grounded while all of that was going on. Like,
Hmm.
all of the different types of things that you were teaching me, and um, all of the different things I had collected in my mental toolbox,
Yeah.
was able to really be utilized in that experience. Because had
Mm.
I not, I, you know, that sense of psychosis, would have been probably
Mm.
really prominent, and it
Yeah.
would have been really difficult for me to move through that in a conscious and courageous
Mm.
um, state of
Yeah.
being.
Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like something I see in you is that you have the ability to go into that place anytime you want now, which is that's to me, that's the full progression where, I don't even I talk about that with all my clients too, is like there is a progression where you become the walking medicine. That's the entire idea of the retreats, is to teach you how to do that state. And then also, eventually, like you're gonna go beyond me, and that's so beautiful. It's always hard to watch a client fly away, but it's also like I did it.
Mm-hmm.
They're flying, you know, and so. I want to shift gears a little bit here into like what what has specifically changed in your daily routine, like things that you do now that are like lifestyle changes.
Yeah. I mean, I think it all that goes back into kind of more of that four body, three mind well being.
Hmm.
That I am so just I eat all of that up. It's and I mean, it's very intuitive. Like I don't have a set routine where okay, I'm gonna which I used to, this. I used to have
Yeah.
a set routine of like I'm gonna meditate and then I'm gonna journal and then I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that and blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah. And it's like it was very like routine. And although I believe that's essential in a progression, I realized that that's not what it's about.
Yeah.
Like I've cultivated those tools. I have those tools. I don't. It's not about using them every day.
Hmm.
It's about being able to actually communicate with my body and my mind and my soul and ask, what do I need today? Like, what do I need today? Like every morning, like I look in the mirror and I still do mirror work that
Wow. I
you
love
assign that.
that.
Yeah,
I love that.
you assign that for after the breakthrough session, and it changed everything. And definitely not something to be underestimated as well, because saying I love you to yourself without crying or without the resistance is actually a lot harder than you think.
Yeah. Can
um,
can can we break that down just for a second?
yeah,
Because I feel like the mirror work, like when people open that book to page one, they're like, no, no, I'm not doing this, right? I did the same exact thing. I was like, this is so fucking dumb. But
yeah,
then you go, it's so hard. It's
yeah,
so hard. But the thing is, if you just stick with that book, it, like you just said, it literally changes your life. Because
yeah.
to look in your eyes in the mirror and be like, I love you, like, wow.
Oof. It like
Wow.
hits right in your
Eh,
chest, just like, oh God.
I know. Right?
But
Yeah. I'm so proud to hear you say I still do that because it's been a year and it's still like,
yeah,
oh my God, I love it. Yeah.
it's really difficult for me to not walk by a mirror and at least just be like, I love you.
Oh, it's so awesome.
And like, I mean, that's what I do in the morning. It's not like I don't have like a full, I don't have the
Yeah.
book out by any means, but I do remember some of the things that were in that book, and
Yeah.
just being able to even look at myself in the morning immediately, hold my heart, hold my center, and just be like, I love you. And
Yeah.
it's that's a big one. I mean, I don't think of it as like a routine because it's just so innate now. Like it was
Yeah.
again for going back to how important integration is, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And that's really like I think you painted the picture so well. It's like in the beginning you had literally had a list. I'm pretty sure you had a list you would check off every day. If not, it was in your mind of like, I'm gonna do a meditation, I'm gonna journal, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna drink my
yeah,
water. And you did that for a while until it became a habit. And now
yeah,
it's just straight up installed at an unconscious level. That's where this action and focus comes in because it's so what's going to make you successful? Let's install that strategy. So it's just
yeah.
automatic. It's just easy now, right? It's literally
Right.
just easy.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
I mean, like the integration with Mexico is still happening. Like that is like that's still in the
Oh
works, but
yeah.
it's like the integration from that breakthrough session and how I chose to do it, how I decided to give myself space and where I was actually so important. Because I had
Yeah.
actually been staying with a really like best friend is like an understatement. Like she's one of like my great friends, and like she was the first person I could think of
Yeah.
like I want to stay with her while I'm integrating this because she's just so
Yeah.
safe. Um,
Yeah.
and just I'm so grateful that I was so focused during that time because I think yes, Mexico really did change so much of my wiring. Like it did shifted everything. But with the breakthrough session, it was an actual like, hey, this is your first experience of actually changing things, and this is where it's important to really reprogram. Like that's what I felt like in my body. Like this
Mhm.
is massive, and this is a time to really focus, and to really like get close with yourself in a way
Mm.
that is maybe a little more routine based.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Yeah, the action focus, man, it is the key to everything, even, medicine integration. It's about how do you take the abstraction? Even the breakthrough session is basically medicine. I mean, it really is. There's no
Yeah.
question. And so it's really
Mhm.
how do you take those abstractions from the mind and take action in the physical world like that? That's power. That's
Yeah.
really when we start getting powerful. So, oh my God, I love this. I love this. So, I guess what are some of the biggest things you learned from like working together?
It's a big question.
I know. I know. It's a big
um,
one.
I mean, the first thing that's coming up for me, because I really genuinely, Thomas, I learned so much. Like us being able to work together. Like it's difficult to even put it in a list, or not a list, but just to think of everything that's coming up. The
Yeah.
first thing that comes up is community. For so
Mm,
long, I thought I had to do everything alone. God forbid I needed help. God forbid. And
yeah.
I think you were the first, or one of the first times I had felt like I had a community of people, even though it was
Mm,
just you and I initially, but I still felt this sense of community. And I think I could feel at like the work that we were going to be progressing in. Like I couldn't conceive it by any means, but it was like I could feel it, and I could feel
mhm,
all the people that you would bring me to within my
mm,
journey and working
yeah.
with you. But that sense of community and that sense of just unconditional love was like
Mm,
where I was at, even
mm,
like with unconditional love with the boundaries and with all these things. And like, it just, it was that
yeah.
first sense of, oh, wow, like there's people.
Yeah.
I can have people who understand where I'm at.
Yeah.
And I mean, I think it was a really beautiful, like working with you after I was in fire was a really big part, because I had already had that sense of community, but then it was shifted into a totally different realm of that.
Mm,
So yeah, community is a really big one, and the beautiful people that I've been able to meet because of you is a really
mm,
big one. I mean, because I wouldn't have been able to do this on my own.
yeah.
Period. And me even saying that, my body kind of squirms still a little bit, like, oh, oh, huh, what do you mean you can't do this alone? Like, no, like genuinely, I wouldn't be where I'm at without you, without the community
Yeah.
behind you, without the
Yeah.
community I was able um, to cultivate and create um, in Mexico. I
Yeah.
just, mm-mm. And community and empowerment. You empower
Mm.
the fuck out of me, dude. Like, so much. Like, just I just
Uh,
feel this sense of deep knowing within myself, and
mm,
it's this sense of like you have seen like you easily are the only person who has seen me at my most raw, like
mm,
everything. You have seen everything, and
mm,
it empowers me so much that there's this support, this reciprocated love, and like this sense of like, yeah, like I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this. Like,
mhm,
let's do it. And yeah, I mean that, and then just, I mean, you really gave me a base. Like
mm,
working with you gave me a base, and still working with you. I still work with you. It's
yeah.
that base that like keeps expanding and keeps growing. Like my roots just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper, and like
Yeah.
my canopy starts growing, and like you've taught me how to water, and like how to like what weeds to pull, and like how I can grow this tree organically, or how I can best nourish my four bodies. Like you've
Mm,
given me that base, that understanding of this is who I am.
yeah.
And so
Oh,
that's, I can't, yeah, there's not many words
yeah.
that can go behind that. It's just,
Yeah.
that's what it is. You've given me this opportunity to really see myself at
Mm.
a very raw soul level.
Wow. Wow. Thank you, sister. I
Mhm.
appreciate that so much. It's so beautiful. And I think what's coming up for me is like, there's a level of like I couldn't do this by myself. And I think that's true. Like, I couldn't be where I'm at without my mentors, without my healings, and it comes down to we can't see our unconscious programs. They're unconscious, and once we become aware, we know how to do this work, we can do some work on ourselves, but we can't
Mhm.
see our unconscious programs sometimes, and we need that mirror, we need that person to really guide us. And I think I want to reflect a little bit what you said is when you sign up for a breakthrough session, the first email is like, welcome to the Mountain Mind Tricks family. Like,
Mm.
it is a family. Like, and I don't know if all my clients talk to each other necessarily, but it's like that's the way you're treated, like you're family. That's the way it
Yeah.
is. Like total unconditional love, like you said, at all levels, which thank you for that feedback, because that is one of my
Mm.
greatest intentions. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my God. So much love. So much love.
No,
Yeah.
can't even
So
contain it.
I don't know. Is there anything else about, I guess, like, because I have Huna, there's mental emotion release work, there's NLP. Like, how did all these tools, oh, and Qigong, we haven't talked about Qigong yet. Like,
Ooh.
mixing these modalities, like, how has this been a game changer for you? Like, these different, yeah, energy, Huna, mental emotion release, Qigong. Like, can you just talk about some of the modalities that we work with together?
Yeah. I mean, so the first one that comes up that I really got to experience was Kiabe. Um, like
Mm,
that in itself was like the starting point of um of even being able to understand what these healings do.
yeah.
Um, like being able to completely separate myself from my body, and being able to be one with literally God is yeah, that's a massive process. And I think that has really trickled into my life just by um, being able to reel myself back into what's real when I get caught up in what's in the physical reality. So,
Mm,
just like the sense of time and money and all these things, like it's like it reels you back in, like, no, I know who I am.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
know where I'm at. And like this is what's real. And so it's like there's that is an everyday thing. Like I always reflect on that experience, always.
Wow.
And I mean, even like another one that I use a lot is Ho'oponopono. A lot.
Mhm.
I use
Mm,
that all the time. Just
yeah.
because, like we talked about, I am very sensitive to energy, and I make sure to do my due diligence for myself, out of respect for myself, to clear energy that is not mine. Otherwise, I'll
Mhm.
get really just. I mean, I
Yeah.
think recently I've realized just how sensitive I am to other people's energy.
Mhm.
Um, and so that practice is even more important for me, even just on like a what we talked about with ancestral level or family friend level. Like
Yeah.
it's a
Yeah.
very important process for me, and even forgiving myself for things that come up all the time. Being able to do Ho'oponopono with myself is also really massive and
Mm.
in my everyday life, really.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, and then I mean, qigong. I mean, that's one that has been recent,
Mhm.
and it. My main intention with starting qigong was to learn how to emotionally regulate on a very healthy level, and
Mhm.
learning how to express my emotions, because I had done all this work. I'd had this whole toolbox, and I wasn't quite able to comprehend how to actually let my emotions circulate and just move.
Mhm.
Um, and so I Qigong gave me that ability, that opportunity to let my emotions express. And I had even
Mm.
started doing it during, I was in the middle of a detox, and I had really felt what Qigong was able to do, because my body had just, there was so much space in it. And
Mhm.
I was able to see like what Qigong is actually able to fabricate in your body,
Hmm.
um, and how it's literally, it moves everything. Like all of these dormant, repressed emotions, it has this ability to move it in a very integrative and calm way. Um, and I mean, Qigong gives me this ability, like, realized how important movement is for me to just express myself,
Mm.
to understand what's going on at a subconscious level. Movement is very important for me. And so, like, recently, I don't even do normal sitting meditations. Most of the time, I will do Qigong, or I've realized that even doing yoga is another form for me where I get to move and move through repressed or dormant emotions and regulate those
Yeah.
and understanding them.
Mm. Yeah. Qigong it's special. That's the
Yeah,
only word that's the only word. We're so blessed to
it
have
is.
the teacher, the lineage with Montauk Chia, and it just yeah, the Qigong has been totally life changing for me, and I wanna go back a little bit just for the audience. You know, Keave process, Ho'oponopono, higher self therapy. These are all part of Huna, so it's an energy healing process. So Keave is all about doing parts integration or dichotomies. Like I really want this, but part of me wants that, and it's
Mm.
we get so just conflicted about things in life, and it really helps just dissolve that.
Oh,
And
yeah.
oh my god, it's so good. And you know, at a higher level, like I use Kayave process for organs or for different parts of the body or healing mind. Like there's so many advanced aspects to Kayave process that it's we could literally just talk about Kayave for hours because
Oh,
you can
yeah.
do anything with it.
Mhm.
And the Ho'oponopono is I do think it's critical, like and I know now you've done it enough, you probably because 'cause you're at EMT right now, so it's like you go on a gnarly call and you're probably doing Ho'oponopono immediately, right? Because
Oh, my body just immediately does it. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah.
it's
It's just a habit now.
yeah, it's innate.
Which
It's just there.
yeah, which is so cool, and yeah,
Mhm.
so all these different, you know, modalities come together to create this I don't know, the word that's coming up is, like, orchestra of healing. It's really
Mhm.
powerful. Like I love it. I love it. So
Yeah.
yeah, for everybody listening, you know, if this is something you're interested in, please, you know, go to the website, go to Mountain Mind Tricks, like reach out to me. Uh, let's do a discovery call. You know, let's like all you have to do is go to the website and click the discovery session button, and it's literally a free call just to hang out with me for an hour and see where you're at, see for a good match. And I mean, it was worth it, wasn't it, Aleah?
Oh my god. Yeah.
Yeah.
As you were saying that, I was thinking back on, wow, like, I can't believe how it just started. Like, it just was,
Yeah.
"Okay, here
Yeah.
we go."
Yeah. Simple. I think the thing is that I can see your energy even if we're on the
Mhm.
phone, and so, like, as you're talking, like, "Okay, I see the problem already. I already know." Probably within 10 minutes of talking to somebody, like, "I know your greater problem, but let's do the thing." Okay. That's the fun part.
Yeah.
It's fun for me. I get to I all this is play for me. I get paid to
Oh, yeah.
play, which is so much fun.
That's what it's all
And dark
about.
sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
inevitable, though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I wanna just highlight maybe a couple things for people listening if they have questions, things like, I mean, does it actually work? Does all this stuff actually work? And like I know we've been talking for an hour about how it works, but does it actually work, Aaliyah?
Yeah. And, like,
Yeah.
there's no words. There really isn't, and it just
Yeah.
I feel like in it here, I'll get real. Initially, you're like, "What happened? What happened? I don't know what
Mhm.
happened. What
Yeah.
what was this really all about?" Because you feel like you kind of go right back into where you were initially, but the thing is that you're not. Like, the way I'm able to reflect on it now,
Mhm.
you're actually this whole new person going back into what you had created for yourself, and you're teasing through it layer by
Mm.
layer by layer.
Mm.
And you start teasing through, like, you say it best, you're gonna feel uncomfortable, you're gonna feel resistance, you're gonna feel angry, you're gonna feel all this shit you don't want to feel initially, and that's what makes people think, well, oh, supposed to like, this sense of oneness that you were talking about, Aleah. Like, what do you mean? Like, no, it's that is the oneness though as well. Like, you
Mm.
have to get to that point in an everyday
Mhm.
aspect. Like, you've got to tease through the life that you created for yourself that wasn't working, because that just doesn't go away with the snap of a finger. That's the action
Mhm.
part,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
so like when you start, I noticed that it was real because of how uncomfortable I felt. um and then even now, like, flash forward, um I notice how real it actually is because of things that naturally happen. I mean, the other night I was, my partner and I were making dinner together, and I had brought all these things out, and I'm in my moon cycle, right? So, and I've been really working on like intuitive eating, let's say, or just being intuitive generally.
Mhm.
And I had gotten this salad together just full of like all these things, and he's so knowledgeable in health as well. So he was like, "Oh, well, this is rich in that and this and that." And I was like, "Well, I actually need that because I'm in my moon." And he was like, "Yeah." It's like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, I picked all this intuitively. I didn't even have to look it up. Like my body just knew. Like that's what?" Or even just
Yeah.
like
Huh.
instances like that, or like instances where my highest self is protecting me from situations that really aren't great for me,
Mm.
such as the other day. And I it's just those moments where it's those small little things that you notice, or even like
Yeah.
you start noticing the people that you start surrounding yourself with. Like,
Yeah.
I know, like, the community of people I surround myself with every single day is dope. Like, the people
Yeah.
I am around, amazing. And it's just those little signs of like, how does your body feel?
Mm.
How does your skin feel? How do you move differently? Like when you're going on a run, or when you're going on a
Yeah.
hike, or how 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 do you feel your emotions? Like, I notice, like, I have no bandwidth to repress my emotions anymore. I'm immediately crying, always. Like, immediately. Like, it's just like, "Whoop, okay, I gotta." If I'm in a public place, I'm like, cool, I gotta go to the bathroom for like 5 minutes and just let this out. But it's just it's the progressive signs of like,
Mhm.
okay, I've been doing this for only a year. If you think about it, like, that's
It's like
not
light
a lot of
speed.
time.
It's like
Yeah.
light speed how far you've come.
Yeah, and like all of these like progressive omens and signs are just so innate. Like, even that, like how I'm able to, like, I have my little like my signs that I have, like the normal ones that are just reoccurring always. Like, they're just like my ability to be intuitive and coherent with them is like so
Yeah.
just, it's natural. And that's what, compared to like last summer to now,
Mhm.
that's the difference, is that all of it is natural. And that's what I'm learning every day, is that sometimes I still find myself like, oh, I need the routine, like I need this. And it's like, actually, I don't,
Yeah.
because it's all innate. My body's doing this stuff for me now. Not in
Yeah.
like a, oh, my body is only like, I'm coherent with it. But I
Yeah.
notice and recognize how my mental, emotional, physical, and spiritual bodies are now doing the work that is aligned with like my highest frequency.
Mm. Mm. Yeah, I love to call this like divine alignment, or when like our purpose and our will is actually the will of God. Like
Yes. Yeah.
that is such an amazing place to be. I am so proud of you. I
Thank
just
you.
love that so much.
Thank you.
It's yeah, I mean these tools have changed my life completely. I mean where I came from was deep, dark, post-traumatic stress, and I remember my first time with mental emotion release when I released fear. I opened my eyes and was like, "Holy fuck, I can breathe." Like,
Yeah.
that I could like, my whole body was just like,
Yeah.
"I could breathe," and that was, like, level 1, let alone going to Huna and really I mean, I knew I had gifts, but after exploring Huna for the last 4 years, it's like, "Oh,
Mm.
shit, I'm really gifted," it's really helped me unlock to the point where I'm just surprised at what I can do sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, wow,
Yeah.
okay, this is amazing. And And
Mhm.
again, it's just a testament to how I mean, I'm just going to be really raw here, is I was suicidal most of my life. I mean, I
Right.
really was. Yeah, really was. And these tools literally saved my life. Literally saved my life. And yeah, sister, I'm like getting emotional because it's just so like
Mm.
these tools have saved so many people,
Oh, yeah.
you
It's
know,
it's
so many people.
it's one of those things, it's really difficult to put words to. It's
Yeah.
just you feel it, like,
Yeah.
just how impactful these tools are, and, I totally understand, like, I remember after Oregon, like, I during my integration process for, like, the next
Mm-hmm.
month afterwards, I
Mm-hmm.
remember there was this one night, where I was alone and I was, like, in my friend's, room, and I do video journals sometimes, and I put it up and I just started bawling, and I was like, for the first time, I feel like I can breathe.
Mm.
And like, so like when you said that, it resonated so much because I know exactly how that feels. I know what it
Yeah.
feels like to be like just like
Yeah.
letting your body go. And I mean, there was like, even in the, like after really big releases like that, like even in Mexico, one day with, one of the medicines I had like I had really let go of some stuff. And
Yeah.
like after that, like that sense of breath, like that's another one of those signs where you're just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
I'm back in my body.
Yeah. That has been my convincer every time, is like, for me internally, but also watching clients, is like I will literally watch their body change.
Yeah.
And literally after a breakthrough session, like I'm not joking, people look completely different. Like
Hmm.
their face changes, like the way they hold their body changes. It is wild. Like to me, that's the biggest convincer that something has happened like instantaneously, because they look different.
Hmm.
It's so cool. It's kind of like trippy and weird at first, but you're like,
Yeah.
man, the
Yeah.
mind is this powerful. The
It
mind is
is.
this powerful. Yeah. And
It
and I
is.
think all of this, really, to cap it all,
Hmm.
and I think something that me and you have talked about so many times, is that you're in charge of your mind, therefore your reality. Like that's it. It's
It's true. It's well, that's what it's all about. Like your thoughts dictate your entire reality. Like, and it gets into like, well, what are the beliefs behind these thoughts? What are the
yeah.
emotions behind these thoughts? Like it gets into all the tools that we were just talking about, and
Yeah.
gets into like really understanding, like, my God, like one of the biggest things I've noticed with healing, because I think initially I'd always thought like, oh, it's complicated. Like it takes a
Yeah.
minute to understand like the inner workings of your mind and your body, and like it takes so long. But the thing is it's actually, it's always right in front of you. Like think of the book The Alchemist. Like
Mm.
he goes back to where he was to find the treasure.
Yeah.
That's literally what, oh, that's
I
what the
know.
thing is.
Ooh.
It's that sense of realizing, oh my God, it's always been there. It's right
Yeah.
fucking in front of me. Like it is
Yeah.
always in my mind, right, like literally right here. And it's just I'm over here
I
like
know.
finding everything else when really it's just right here. It's within you. And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, your thoughts like change they'll change your life if you
Mm.
change your thoughts.
Mm.
And it goes
Yeah.
back to like you're in charge. Just like what you said,
Yeah.
you're in charge of your mind, therefore your results.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah. It's so
that's what it is.
true. It's
It's
so true. And you know, it blows my mind how, and I know it to be true, but it's still, even to this day, as much work as I've done in practitioner and client, all that stuff, is how much we delete and distort and generalize everything. I mean, think about the keys. You're like rushing out the door and you can't fucking find them, and you're getting mad, or you're getting more pissed. You're getting more like, I fucking looked everywhere. And then you go to the kitchen table or whatever, the counter, you're like, you motherfucker. They've been there the whole time. you know? And it's just like,
That's it.
God, it's such a metaphor for life, because the answer has literally been there, but your brain deleted it
Hmm.
because you're
Yeah,
in a negative emotion, or there was a belief or whatever. And so
right.
it's just like partners. I've seen what happened to you so many times after breakthrough sessions where it's like, and it's almost like, oh, my perfect partner was literally at work or in my life already. And I
That's
just,
yeah. Well, that's exactly what happened with me was after so before Mexico,
yeah,
I had worked with this beautiful man, like, he was
yeah,
so perfect, and
yep.
he was actually the one who ended up taking me to the airport and picking me up
Oh my
too.
God. Wow.
And
Wow.
so and I never let anybody drive my car either, and he was the first person I let drive my car,
Wow.
and just it's so funny because I remember coming back and I had prior to the Mexico trip, I was like, "Oh, yeah, like,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of into I'm into him." And then after Mexico, I was like, "Nope. Nope,
Yeah.
nope, nope. I
Yeah.
don't need it. I'm in my process, like, blah, 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 blah." And like,
Yeah.
he was right in front of me the entire time.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Powerful. Powerful, isn't it?
very,
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
powerful.
Well, sister, I want to respect your time. I know you have an amazing day at paramedic school and all the things you do. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart, thank you for just showing up, for being open, for just kind of spilling your guts here for everybody. Like,
Oh,
just thank
yeah.
you. Thank you so much. It's because people need to hear about these things. And
Mhm.
there's just so much love in my heart for you and
Mm.
just how much I've seen your energy shift. It's just incredible. It's just, this is why I do what I do is for
Yeah.
people like you know?
Yeah. Thank you,
And
Thomas.
yeah, and I want to just give you much time as you want just to, if people want to follow you, like where can they find you? I know you're getting into Reiki. Like, is that something you want to
Mhm.
share? Like, yeah, whatever you want to share.
Yeah, sure. I mean, to start off, I just also want to say thank you for the opportunity to even be on here. And as you know, as we've worked together, being able to be seen and be heard has been a really big, poignant theme in
Mm,
my journey. And you being the first person to give me space to do that has meant so much. So thank you
mm,
just for everything that you do and for being you. And like, genuinely, I love you like a fucking brother. And
mm,
I could not imagine my life without you now.
mm,
And so thank you from genuinely
mm,
the bottom of my heart. And
mhm.
yeah, with all that said, I am practicing Reiki here in Sedona. But I am also able to, I'll be able to practice Reiki virtually. So I do have an Instagram. It's not anything crazy, but it's just Aleah Traylor, or at Aleah Traylor. And I'd love to be able to practice Reiki. Right now, I am currently doing it for free, um, as I'm just practicing and kind of getting into my modalities of healing and understanding how I would want to do things, and understanding my process with such a sacred energy. Um, I also, um, yeah, I would love to just even build a community. Love to chat with people
Yeah,
if they have questions regarding my experience with you. I would love to answer any of them. Talking about
yeah.
you is a blessing in and of itself. So, um, yeah, but I would really love to be able to open up more to Reiki and opening up to my process with that. Um,
Mm,
and yeah, sooner or later you'll catch me doing more things revolved
yeah,
in healing.
yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much, sister. And yeah, I think that's something I have definitely sent people to. They're like, I don't know about this breakthrough session thing. I'm like, just go talk to Aleah.
Yeah.
Just go talk to her because she's gonna blow your mind. And yeah, so anybody
Oh,
listening, if you're like, I don't know about this, just literally hit up Aleah on Instagram
please do.
and also free Reiki. I mean, come on, people. Like, this is incredible. I
Yeah.
know Aleah, like at a heart level, soul level, like she's gifted. So
Oh,
hit
thank
her
you.
up, okay? And yeah, thank you so much. This has been so powerful, so transformative, so much fun just to jam with you and spend some time. And yeah, I look forward to connecting. I look forward to all the people listening just reaching out. It's I'm here for you. I love
Mm.
you all. And yeah. Just thank you for the space, Aleah. And her Instagram would be in the show notes. And yeah, again, that's you can reach out to me at mountainmindtricks.com and hit the discovery session button, and we're just gonna jam. Let's talk for an hour and just see if I'm a good fit for you. Okay. I love you all. And as we say in Hawaii, a hui ho. We'll see you the next time, somewhere, someplace, some dimension. We don't know, but we'll see you again. So, okay, I love you all. Bye.